And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the always pressing PGA DFS podcast. This week, we will be previewing the third leg of the Fed-Ex Cup Championship, the BMW Championship. And in order to do so, myself and my usual co-host will join me. Jesse, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well, dude. But can you feel it? It's football season. Could you tell this morning?
I can tell, man, like the leaves change or the wind or something. They say something changes in the air for football season. I don't know.
I think
But yes.
it's that, but also DraftKings forgets that there's golf still.
Yes. That was the big one. When you texted me that this morning, I started laughing. Like, what the heck are you talking about? But typical DraftKings are just that lazy and stupid to figure out.
It's weird.
It just goes to show you actually how much of a computer system they are and how much common sense they don't use because it's all computers.
Right. I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, for those of you who don't know, basically they took the list of the top 70 from last week because that's what was currently in the field at the BMW this week on the PGA website or something, and they put that in. So there was 6 players who moved in, and they didn't have them in. They had 6 guys who weren't supposed to be in there. So they finally corrected it. But you will notice that there are 6 players on the list that have a big out next to their names. So be sure not to play the guys, obviously, who have an out next to their names.
And if you do want to play those guys that have an out, you can slide into my contest, and I'll gladly play you this week.
Yeah.
But the sad part is one of the ones with the outs by it's good old Stugo. Stugo didn't really come through in the last couple of weeks. Kind of rough for the big man. But go rest up, Stu. Go work on that hat tan, and we'll see you in a little bit. Interesting tournament this week, but before we get there, let's recap quickly the Dell Technology Championships, aka Bryson is straight white hot right now. I know you're busy golfing this weekend. Did you catch any of it?
I watched very little. I did followed it on my PGA Tour app, but he shot 63 again, I think, on Saturday. Yeah, 63 to catapult himself back into contention, and then was in the final group with Answer. Not surprisingly, shot 2 over on Saturday or Sunday, or I guess it was Monday now. And yeah, took it down, man. I mean, I don't even know what to say about him.
It's damn impressive for the fact we've talked how many times throughout the year and a half to plus that we've been recording this show how hard it is to win back-to-back weeks on the tour, right. let alone just twice a year on the tour. He's now won 3 times this year and 4 times in 14 months.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. He's like a really super streaky golfer, obviously, but when that putter gets going, that's obviously a major boost for any professional golfer, but for him in particular, I mean, he's gained almost 12 shots over the last 2 weeks putting alone. So, yeah, he's impressive, man. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it because I did not expect him to be back into contention this week. But
let me ask you. You mentioned his putter real quick, and we kind of talked about putters last week or the week before, and I find it silly how often these guys change putters, and it's already out. The Tiger's going back to a Scotty Cameron this week. That's all over the place. But we've seen it with all these guys. They change putters all the time. You play a lot more in, height golf, big-time golf than I do. Why do they want to change it so often? I just don't get it to me.
I don't either. It doesn't make any sense to me because I don't have a contract where I can just change a putter anytime I want to. So anytime I want to change a putter, it's got to be, I have to go buy it and spend $300 or $400. So, I mean, I roll a TaylorMade, but one way or the other, it's just a feel thing. And it's also mental because that, just as well as I do, anybody who plays golf, putting is the most mental aspect of the game because it's the simplest. You're not moving the club very much. It's all about just being right in your mind. And one of the things that I tell myself as I'm putting right before I actually make a putting stroke is just to simply trust myself and my feel, because that's all it is this feel. So it's just, I guess, trying to get the feel back. As far as Tiger goes, I don't know because he's using similar putters, but going back to the Scotty Cameron, it didn't work earlier. So we'll see.
It doesn't make much sense to me, but it's just something I like to keep watching because it seems it's every week. And it's not just Tiger. He's just obviously the one people talk about the most. It's just, It's all over the place. Rory does it a lot. DJ does it a ton. There's a lot of these guys that do it. And I just don't get it. Like you said, a lot of it's just kind of mental and it's a comfort thing to me. And to me, you got to keep using the same club to get comfortable with it. But maybe there's some pros out there that might get bored and listen to the show for some reason that can tell us about it. That'd be much appreciated, because I'm thoroughly I don't remember it ever being this bad in a season where it's like every week it's a change deal. So
yeah,
very odd to me. But other things over the weekend that was pretty interesting, and the Monday finish sucked. I hated no golf on Thursday, but it is what it is. The Bryson thing, going low on, I guess, Sunday now with Tiger was pretty impressive. I thought Rose coming out firing on Friday was great, because there's so many people that thought Rose was broken, but they just can't read stats. That one made me laugh quite a bit. And we talked about it on the show. He just couldn't putt last week. That's all it was. Everything else was fine. Yeah. And then there's some other normal faces. Finau does it again. Your boy Hideki came back. Any other takeaways from the week?
Yeah, Finau, another top 10. I mean, we'll talk about him more probably in just a second, but Hideki is just absolutely striping the ball right now, and he finally got the putter to go like really red hot. He was totally unconscious first 11 holes on Monday, his final round. He was 7 under through 11, and then bogeyed a couple and then made another birdie coming in, but he was just completely like, I texted somebody to see if they knew if he drank a fifth, because he was completely blacked out. I mean, just insane. So, but besides him, DJ played another terrible third round to basically take himself out of contention. Came back with the 64 in the final round Monday. So that was interesting. But Phil shoots 63. I mean, he was on point on Monday. So I thought that was interesting, especially with what we'll talk about here. It's probably a good segue to talk about the Ryder Cup picks that just came out.
Yeah, definitely. The Ryder Cup just came out right before we started recording. Furyk named 3 of his captain's picks. Tiger, Phil, and Bryson, kind of 3 of the 4 everyone's been kind of picking on and figured that's who it would be. And Bryson, if Bryson didn't get in after winning again, that would have just been ridiculous. So that was kind of a given, those 3. You can kind of debate Tiger and Phil all you want. There's the experience factor. There's this, that, or the other. They were going to get in. So that was kind of an obvious deal. The 4th spot's still up for grab, Jesse. And, Finau's we're big fans of Finau. And like you said, another top 10. He keeps just getting it done time and time again. I think he's a great option. Patrick Cantlay's name's out there quite a bit. There's a lot of options where there can't go wrong. I wish they could take like a Bubba Watson out or something like that and put some more guys in. That's not how the system works. If you had to look at a 4th, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Finau for me. I think you got to get some more young blood in there, get their feet wet, and see how they actually perform in that kind of stage, because it's totally different than being on the PGA Tour. It's a totally different atmosphere. I don't know if you've listened to it, but No Laying Up did a really good podcast on the Ryder Cup from '99. I haven't finished it yet, but I think they went through like 2011, and it was. If you go back and listen to that, it was a really, really good podcast.
They have 2 up. They have 2 of them. They broke it up into I think it's like 15-year segments or something. So yeah. Like I know we talk about them a lot on the show. What those guys do, we're kind of more jealous than anything of the job they get to do. Oh
God, they're awesome.
They get to go play all the great courses, go cover all the golf. They get to just sit and talk about golf. It's like, if I could do that for golf or baseball, I'd probably be the happiest man alive. Yeah. But they haven't made it. And the thing is, they do a great job at it. Like, their stuff is awesome to listen to. There's rarely an episode that I don't just go, okay, I have to listen. There's, once in a while, I'll put it on the back burner and still end up listening to it. But most of them, the day it drops, I'm listening, and they put great stuff out there. So, and then you mentioned, is it the something draw or whatever? Mentioned that Tiger thing you showed. That thing was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So
that's the No Laying Up guys. And if you haven't listened to the No Laying, it's the Trap Draw podcast. It's episode 16. They just go through Tiger's basically from the time he wrecked his vehicle through present day, and it is a great. I listened to it twice, yeah. But going back to the No Laying Up deal, I mean, with the atmosphere, they were talking about people, wives getting heckled, people trying to get tripped up and stuff. I mean, it's a wild, raucous atmosphere. I think Tony would be totally fine in that atmosphere. I don't think much, if anything, affects him. I just really like to see him playing as well. So we'll see. I think, other guys in consideration, maybe like Kisner would be there, Xander. But for me, if I'm the one doing it, I don't know about Cantlay. I also don't want to watch Cantlay step over putts for 30 minutes and do his little feet thing, especially in that atmosphere. I mean, I think he would just get so. Anyway, it's Tony for me.
It's Tony for me too, but could you imagine Bryson and Cantlay being teamed up together? Bryson's always on the clock as it is. You put those two together, my God.
They were talking about on Golf Channel about them pairing up Tiger and Bryson. Yeah. Which that if you go, they were talking about like, they're both similar, I guess, in their approach to the game being so analytical or whatever. But you go back to that No Laying Up podcast, they were talking about how they put Phil and Tiger together and they didn't mesh well because they were both playing two totally different balls. And that's one thing you got to really consider is type of ball dude's playing, also type of game guys plays, So, I mean, that's why Furyk is a really important factor.
Well, that's why they say like it's personalities too. It's not even just the game. Like the last Ryder Cups, they paired up Phil and Kisner, and everyone like, what are you guys doing that for? And you watch them play out there. They got handshakes and they're talking trash to each other, and look how well they played. Like they crushed it out there. There's a lot to be said of getting these guys in their comfort zone and not just pairing like 1 versus 2 stuff like that. I saw a headline over the weekend. We can move on from the Ryder Cup here pretty soon unless you have some more, but. Brooks and DJ look like a likely pairing, which to me it's just like wow, King Kong and Godzilla together. But one of the reporters asked DJ, "What do you think it'd be like if they paired you two up together?" And he says, "Pray for Europe."
I think that has to happen at least one.
The Bash brothers have to play together at least.
Can you imagine?
Oh, I would be glued to my TV just watching that bomb show.
I can't wait for the Ryder Cup.
It's going to be the best, and it's going to be in the middle of the night, and I think I'll have to be awake for it. And we're definitely going to do a podcast on the Ryder Cup. That's for damn sure.
The good news about it, though, is it's not going to interfere that much with football. So, a couple years ago, obviously, when I was in the States, it was during the day, so you had to basically choose one or the other. And so, yeah, it's going to be a blast, dude. I can't wait.
Yep, it's going to be awesome. But until then, we have 2 more FedEx Cup events. We have a week off next week, but this week we have the final 70, technically 69, playing this week as Daniel Berger is out. He cannot advance. He is done. So we have 69 golfers this week. Makes for a nice Sunday finish. Going to be an interesting one. We'll cut it down to 35, I believe, or 30 for next week. No cut this weekend as expected. So why don't you give us a little past event history of the BMW Championship?
Yeah, so it used to be called the Western Open, which was played for 119 years and beginning in 1899. So anyways, it's been around for a long time. The BMW Championship itself has moved around quite a bit, and this year they're playing it at, I'm going to butcher this.
I can't wait to hear this.
Aronimink?
It's not bad. Right? I can't say it. It's like Aronimink. It's no offense to the people. That's just
that's an odd name. So it's in Pennsylvania. They have never played this golf tournament at this golf course. Now, the golf course itself has hosted some things in the past, but this particular tournament has never been hosted here. So last year they played it at Conway Farms. So you basically just go ahead and throw out course history for the most part. I mean, like I said, there's some, and I'm sure you'll talk about it when you talk about the actual course, but the designer is kind of what I would look at more than anything else. But either way, last year, different golf course, Mark Leishman. 2016, Dustin Johnson was a champion. Again, another golf course, Crooked Stick. Jason Day, Billy Horschel, Zach Johnson, Rory, Justin Rose. I mean, there's a lot of big names that have won here. So, I mean, it's, when you talk about the golf course, I'm sure you'll talk about it, but it's basically, we have no course history this week.
Yeah, we don't have much at all. Like you said, it's Aronimink golf course. Yeah, I've heard it every different way possible. In Newton Square, Pennsylvania. It is a Donald Ross design. We've seen a few of those lately, especially on these East Coast kind of later in the season deals. And when I describe this course, it's going to sound like a lot of previous weeks where accuracy is key, long irons are key. We're going to see a lot of similarities here. There has not been a PGA Tour event here since 2011. Like you mentioned, they did 2010, 2011. 2010, Justin Rose won here. 2011, Patrick Cantlay won here. but they've done even another redesign since then. They've added over 100 bunkers since then, so there's like around 175 to 200 bunkers on the course throughout the fairways and around the greens. So they'll make it very, very challenging. It's a par 70. I've seen around 7,250 yards. It depends on which card they're using. That's the one I saw most recently, 7,250. A lot of dog legs, a lot of high, heavy rough. So, again, accuracy, accuracy, accuracy. The interesting part here will be, and we can kind of tie in the weather with this, and if there's more weather, you can add it at the end. There's chances of rain like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if it rains, it'll soften this course up. They've shown in tournaments in past, when it rains, the bombers can be way aggressive on these dog legs and try to cut corners because it'll just sit in the fairway and they'll be good to go and wedge it in. But if it's dry and firm, you have to lay up almost and run like a 3-wood and let it roll out to the spot in the fairway to come in. Otherwise, you'll hit it straight into the trees or into the rough and you'll be in trouble again. Again, that's why it's similar to recent weeks where it's more of a shot maker's course. You got to hit a spot, then you can like iron it in, 7-iron or less in or whatever. There's going to be a lot of irons around 150 to 175 out here if the course plays regular. If, again, it plays wedgie, then it'll be different. But it's a kind of combo of, like I'd say, like roughly 2/3 of the course plays pretty long, but then a third of the course, there are a lot of short par 4s where you can attack stuff and wedge it in. So it's kind of a yin and a yang to your talents on the course, again, leading to just be a good shot maker and make it happen. There's 4 par 3s ranging from 175 to 240. There's 12 par 4s. I believe there's 4 or 5 over 450 yards. So that's where you kind of have to really make your shots. And there's 2 par 5s. One you can definitely get to, and 2, the other is very, very difficult, again, depending on the weather. So the 1 par 5, there should be a lot of scoring on that one. You have to take advantage of that. Again, no cut this week, so you can watch guys really take advantage of some of these and be a little more aggressive if they want to and make things happen. The greens are bent grass greens, heavy undulation on these greens. They did expand them a bit in the recent renovations along with the fairways. They widened the fairways. The greens are kind of mainly all uphill when you come approach them with a lot of fall-offs on them. So if you're not hitting your spot, they're going to run off into a spot. Justin Rose was saying you have to have really, really good short game. Like you either have to miss short on the right spot to chip it up and run it up, or if you miss in the wrong spot, you better be able to get up and down, and it'll be very challenging. So all in all, shot makers, long iron players. Kyle Stanley's a guy that just came straight to mind when I think of stuff like that. And we'll get to the players here in a minute. But it's very similar to what we've been seeing. And the last note is they're making it kind of challenging, championship-style course, because it will host the 2027 PGA Championship. So we will be back here in 2027. I don't know what else is scheduled between then, but we'll be rather – yeah, that's what I figured. When they told me that, I'm like, well, what about the rest of the BMWs? But that's what they wanted to promote. So I'm like, more power to you. But they're making it tough.
Next year, this will be at Medina, so –
I wonder why they keep moving this. I know they're moving the FedEx around last year, but I wonder why in years past they moved the BMW around.
I don't know. I mean, it was basically 2 golf courses previously, so I mean 2 or 3, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I wish they would just stick with the golf course.
I love to see
so much easier
course history and stuff. So nice. Anything else on the weather that I missed? That guy said there's chances of rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It looks like.
I don't know of anything. I live in Kentucky, and I did hear some rumblings about that. There's a system in the Gulf right now that's a tropical storm that might be rolling through here. So if it comes through here, typically that stuff moves through Pennsylvania. So, I mean, that was supposed to be on the weekend, so that could be later on. I don't know, but something definitely to keep an eye on.
What are some of the key stats you're looking at this week?
Shots gained tee to green, proximity, greens in regulation, shots gained around the green like you were just talking about. And these par 3s are very long, so I've got a small little bit on par 3s over 225.
Yeah, I think it's 2 of them are 225, and if you 3 of them like are 215 or more.
That's
so yeah,
ridiculous.
Definitely got a long iron with accuracy in there because with the way the greens are made, those can turn into bogeys real quick.
Right,
man, nasty. So yeah, it's accuracy off the tee. Obviously, it could change if the weather. If they're showing a lot of rain. The phenols, the DJs, all those bombers, that it's going to get real interesting out there. But if the course plays regular, everywhere I read, Josh Colt does a great job with past interviews with players that have played there, and then PGA's got a bunch on their site. And reading up on these guys saying how they can run things out and whatnot. It'll be very, very interesting to see how the course plays. Two completely different courses. If it's firm, you're looking at maybe a low, like 11, 12 under. If it's wet and just you can bombs away, you could be mid to high teens. So two completely different courses out there. With that all being said, real quick before we get into the DraftKings action, I just want to do a little bit of fan share. Obviously, the recent tournaments aren't going to factor in with a different course. I'm not going to get into that. I just want, to me, how I said a lot of this course correlates with recent courses. I want to go over recent form, basically. Last 3 events, last 6 events for players in this field, average DraftKings points. And there's a couple names you would definitely expect, and a couple that might help you in the lower price range. If you're looking at the last 3 events, Brooks leads the way. He's averaging almost 104 DraftKings points in his last 3 events. That's no shocker to anyone. But our boy Tony Finau is second. Hideki's third. We just talked about both of them. CT Pan's fourth, and he's sub 7K this week. So the crazy part, when you've won 2 events in a row, out of the last 3 events, I think he withdrew or missed the cut, the one before that, because he's averaging 92.5. Bryson DeChambeau, he's 5th in points, and he's won 2 in a row, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, he missed the cut at I think it was the PGA Championship, right?
That's right. So that's nuts. But Cam Smith is 6th, DJ 7th, JT 8th, Webb 9th, and RCB 10th. So a lot of guys there that can really help you in the lower price range. Now, the fun one where you kind of get the cream usually rises to the tops is the last 6 events, and we'll take a quick look at that for you. And when you look at average DraftKings score in the last 6 events, Dustin Johnson leads the way. Then you got Molinari, who took last week off, which I think is going to be a really good thing for him. We shall see. He's just a half a point behind DJ. Finau's 3rd, CT Pan 4th, Fleetwood 5th, Brooks 6th, JT 7th. Tiger is still 8th, even though he's kind of stumbled around. He's still getting it done. Cantlay's 9th and Webb Simpson's 10th. So half that last 6 is also on the last 3, which the reason why I do that tells you who's really got the long-term form coming into play with recent form as well. So just a little bit to take a look at, as we can't really go back too far, as we've been saying. With all that being said, let's get into your DraftKings picks for the week. Again, no cuts, so you can be a little aggressive and play the game. You got 2, 4, 6 guys over $10,000 this week. DJ at 11.6, Rose at 11.2, JT at 10.7, Kopka at 10.5, Rory at 10.3, and Bryson at $10,000. Jesse, you can literally make an argument for every single guy up here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's, who
are you looking at?
It is what it is. It's, pick your poison here. Dustin Johnson, obviously. I do like Justin Thomas this week because he is a pretty good long iron player, and he's gained a lot of strokes tee to green recently. So if the putter gets going for him, then he could be right there. Brooks, same thing. Very good tee to green. Putter gets going, he'll be there. Rory's probably the GPP play here. Not really hitting it that well tee to green recently, but his short game is pretty good as far as around the green, and so I think he's playable. Bryson's the interesting guy. So obviously, a giant price hike, the most expensive I'm sure he's ever been. I don't remember him being this high. Well, it maybe in some smaller field or something along the way, but definitely not in a field that is this strong. So he's, so now you've got the narrative street. Can he win 3 in a row? Because he's almost got to at 10,000, right? Yep. But he is absolutely.
Recent weeks we talked about how cheap he was. Now he's earned the price tag now.
Right. At 10,000, he doesn't necessarily have to win. Like DJ has to win in order to pay off his price. But Bryson top 5s or something, which I think is entirely possible. But now will he kind of take it a little bit easy that he's secured his Ryder Cup spot? Is that a huge weight that's been lifted off his shoulders, so he doesn't have the drive necessarily this much, and he just kind of, I don't know, just doesn't focus as much.
I think $10 million will keep him focused.
I agree, but this is he almost can't get past. He's got how much is he up on?
I read somewhere today, even if he wins this week, he still is not guaranteed first place,
which is fucking stupid.
Yeah, but if you win 3 of the 4 events, how do you not finish in first place?
So he's okay. So he can't get past. He's 2,400 points ahead of Dustin Johnson. 2,400, and it's 2,000 FedEx Cup points to first here. So he could finish last. DJ could win. He'd still be number one. He's basically secured his number one position because I guess the points get reset next week, right?
Something along those stupid lines.
Everybody inside the top 5 has a chance if they win. Anybody inside the top 5 not next week, to be the week after, but at the Tour Championship, anybody in the top 5, if they win, then they win the FedEx Cup.
Yeah,
so Bryson's basically number one seed. So I guess, I mean, like, I don't know if you remember them talking about revamping the whole deal and starting somebody at 10 under. I mean, you really had to start him at like 20 under.
For what he's done? Oh, hell yeah. For what he's done, that'd be just wrong.
It's pretty crazy.
No one's done
So
this.
Bryson is an interesting GPP play for me. I just don't know how the public will treat him. Generally speaking, if a guy wins, they back off of him, which obviously he was 12% owned last week. I could see him being in that same neighborhood or less. But, yeah, so, I mean, if I'm going to rank him up here, for me, it's going to be DJ, JT, and Brooks. But, I mean, Bryson rates out number one in my model, so.
Yep, they're all in play. They're all in play. If you really just wanted to wait till tomorrow night and go on FanShare and see who's got the lowest ownership, play them. I don't blame you. I really don't. Like, they're all great plays. Bryson, I think, could come in the lowest owned just for the fact he's won 2 in a row, and that narrative streak comes into play. We were all over Rory as a GPP last week. He finished T12, which not bad. Still, you need to be a little higher than that to get it done in a field like this, but still, it's typical Rory. Everything looked great except the putter inconsistencies. It just never failed with Rory. I love Brooks in a field like this. I think because he can play both formats. He can bomb it or he can play that smart style game. But my number one guy, like you said, is JT. I absolutely love Justin Thomas this week. He seems to kind of get the most disrespect out of all this group when it comes to ownership week in and week out. He just doesn't get it, and people forget he was the champion last year, FedEx Cup champion, and he's played well in these fields. He won 4 events ago. He's a beast. Outside of his T24 last week, he had a T8, T6, and T1 prior to that. He's very, very good, and this fits in, like you said, his long iron play. If it turns into bombers, he can obviously bomb it with them. The short game can be an issue at times, and I agree with you there, but in a field with no cuts, and he can be aggressive with that mentality, he could torch a field like this if he hits it just right. I absolutely love JT in this event, and I think I'm going to be locking the load. And I'm not going to go heavy this week. We were talking before the pod. When formats like this, it's such a crapshoot. I just kind of put a long shot out there and see what happens. But I love JT this week. Let's go to the 9K range where we got our boy, or you got your boy, Hideki Matsuyama. Then we got our boy, Tony Finau. Jordan Spieth, Jason Day, Tiger Woods, and Ricky Fowler is back this week. So an interesting spot here in the 9K range. What are some of the guys you're targeting?
Yeah, Hideki and Finau for sure. I actually like starting a team with just those two, stacking those two up, and then going from there. The other interesting play here is Ricky. Obviously, coming off the injury, but he's saying he's rested and he's ready to go, and that he's had an oblique injury or whatever. So he's saying that that's healed up. So most people, I would think, would fade him, injury, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. But that price is pretty decent for him. And so I would take some chances with Ricky at 9,000. Again, everybody else in this range, you can definitely play. I mean, there's like, it's like pick your poison again. Day and Spieth would be my kind of two, like bottom two, but Tiger's definitely playable again, I think.
Yeah, I like your Matsuyama points. He is just lacing it right now. But Finau's my guy. He should be chalky in this range if people are coming up here. I absolutely love him, though. Again, no-cut event. He can torch the field. He's a DraftKings scoring machine as it is.
Oh, yeah.
And now you just let him do his thing. He finished again. I think he has over 90 points again this past week. He just keeps racking up the points out there. Because a lot of those ugly holes, and they'll get him back for you. So I love Finau at 95. And the other guy I'm looking at is Ricky for the fact I don't think people will play him. And it could be rightfully so. Oblique injuries are nasty. The only way that thing heals is by not using it. So he might not have played golf for like 2 to 3 weeks. We don't know. And sometimes it takes longer, at least in baseball, to heal an oblique like that. I've never really heard many situations in golf. So we'll have to see how this goes. It is a wild card because literally it could take one swing on like the 6th hole and boom, there it goes again. It's kind of like a bad back, but with their whole torque of your golf swing. So it'll be interesting to see. But his ownership, I think, will be extremely, extremely low. I think people are going to want to go to the big cat right there at 92. But I'll be going all Finau all the time at 95. That's the guy I want in this price range. Going into the 8K range, you got John Rahm, Molinari, Scott, Fleetwood. Everybody's talking about him again this week. Cantlay, Mickelson, RCB, Patty Reed, Webb Simpson, Paul Casey, and Billy Ho, who let us all down last week. A couple of guys I'm looking at. I'm going back to Molinari. You're talking long iron play. You're talking accuracy, even good around the green. Molinari hits all of those boxes. I think the week off helped. We talked a while back how you would think he's going to be burned out here sooner or later. And it might have finally caught up to him that week. Maybe not. Maybe there's something else wrong we don't know about. But I think that week off is going to do him very, very well. So I like Molinari at $8,800. Fleetwood at 86. He's always in play for me. He's a guy that can get red hot. And we've talked about recent weeks. He has that inconsistent round. Well, that won't affect you this week as much as it normally would. So Fleetwood at 86, I like. Cantlay at 85, I respect the game. If you want to go there, you can. He is going to be chalkier than chalk itself. Like, he's going to give you calcium deposits in your stomach if you eat that chalk. It's going to be ridiculous. And then RCB, we saw him come to form last week. We said it time and time again. People just don't respect him enough because he usually plays in Europe. He doesn't play in these big fields, and he gets way overlooked. So I love RCB at 83. This 8K range, as you'd expect in a field like this, should be loaded. If I just had to pick a couple, it'd be RCB, Fleetwood, and Molly. It'd be the three I'd really look to target here. What are you looking in the 8K range?
Yeah, definitely those guys are playable. Adam Scott is also playable in my opinion. He's really good with long irons, and so these par threes he should be okay on. Obviously figured it out with the putting, and he's fifth in DK points gained over the last 12 weeks. Cantlay is okay. I'm not a huge fan. Rafa's playable. I think Paul Casey is most definitely playable at 8,000. He's just kind of like, I don't know, it's like blawing along, like not really doing anything special at all. He did finish 21st last week, but I thought he was, I think you tweeted about it. He thought that he was actually going to play well, and then he just kind of fell off. Funny story about Billy Horschel. So I had to watch Joel Dahman play like trash all morning, Friday morning. So Thursday afternoon comes around, Friday afternoon, first round. Horschel, terrible. First, I think he shot 40 on the front. And here's the thing about Golf Channel. If you have a bad golfer and they show him, it's either because he made a hole-in-one or he's withdrawing, right? So they show Billy on some par four. I was like, oh, shit. They show him, oh, Billy Horschel, he's teeing it up over here on this par four. I'm like, this is not good. He hits it, about whiffs it. I don't know where the ball went, never saw it. And then he said he was sick, and next thing you know, they're showing him driving away in a cart. So that was great. So most people will remember that he WD'd. He was playing very, very well before that. Maybe he was legitimately sick. I don't know. I mean, that's like I would think that he would be in order to withdraw from that because he's been playing really, really, really well. So I don't know what happened there. Bad fish, something. I'm playing Billy Horschel again this week. I'll be all over him. He's 7th in my short-term model here, but I think you can get him at way reduced ownership. I mean, last week he was, what was he? It was probably, yeah. I mean, he wasn't that chalky last week, 8%, 6%. So I think it'll be even less this week. So I'm going back.
Yeah, and you'd have to imagine he's really sick because before that T3, T11, T35.
Playing really well.
He withdraws, and he's still 15th in the FedEx Cup. You'd think he'd want to grind that out and try to get top 10 coming into the week here. So, yeah, he didn't just withdraw because it wasn't his day, basically. So I like that take quite a bit. Let's go into the 7K range. We'll do all the 7K because it's not nearly as bad as usual. You got Leishman, Cam Smith, Woodland, Sneds, Xander, Tyrell. I get my putter from the golf store. Hatton, Bubba Watson, Stenson down to 76. Stanley talked about him earlier. Usti, Grillo, Noren, Kisner, Bradley, F.U. Kevin Na, Zach Johnson, Benny On, Ian Poulter, Hadwin, Wise, List, and that is it. So you had about 20 guys down here, not nearly what it usually is. Give me a handful of guys you're looking at here in the 7K range.
Yeah, there's plenty to play here. I think Woodland and Cam Smith are playable. Tyrell Hatton's interesting. I mean, he's like one of the most streaky players on tour. He's also one of the most like insane players, I think, on tour. He's very similar, but probably more boisterous really than Bubba. So he's obviously playing well here. He's coming off a 12th and a 20th and a 10th. So, I mean, I think he's playable. Stanley, definitely playable. Grillo, I like quite a bit this week. Kisner's interesting from the perspective of, if he plays well this week, will he get the nod from Furyk for the last spot? So at 7,300, I would take some chances with him, or at least a chance or two. And then moving on down, I think Wise, he's hitting a lot of greens here recently, playing pretty well tee to green. So at 7,000, I do like him.
Yeah, definitely a lot to like here. Cam Smith, I like a lot. Back-to-back third-place finishes. He's swinging it well. I like him quite a bit. Tyrell Hatton, I do like. T12, T20, T10, T28 in his last four. I'm not sure if you saw his shot. He basically hits one and it spins around the flagpole, the flag stick, and then comes back out somehow. That was mind blowing.
It was like it was doing a burnout on the lip.
Yeah,
the ball.
That was nuts.
That's really good camera work.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So Smith, Hatton, I think Stenson's interesting at this price point because he's a guy that can compete with anybody out here.
I agree with
that. He's just been kind of messy, but at 76, could be low ownership and could be that cheapie that gets you up the ladder. So especially if it is going to be one of those where you have to make your shots. So he's coming off the tee with a 3-wood. I think Stenson could be real interesting in here at 7,600. I love Kyle Stanley at 75, and he's coming in really good form. T12, T28, sure he missed a cut and then a second. But, for Kyle Stanley, I'll take that one missed cut out of those four because he's been throwing darts out there lately. It's been the putter that's been the mess for him. So Stanley at 75, and then had one at 7K if you need to go down there. I think I just go all the way down to the sixes if I need to. But he's coming in T21, T11 in his last two. Playing well. I just don't know if he has enough to get all the way there. So that's why I might go drop down to some guys in the 6K range. But mainly Cam Smith, Tyrell Hatton, Stenson, and Stanley are kind of the guys I'm looking at in this 7K range, which, as every other spot here, a lot of good golfers because you're at the best 70 in the world, 69 in the world. All right, with that being said, Jesse, we go into the 6K range, and there's a boatload of them. I apologize to all the ones listening, but I'm not going to read your name off. Who you got down here in the 6K range?
Yeah, this is there's definitely plenty of playable guys down here. I think CT Pan is going to be chalky, coming off the fourth place finish. All 4 rounds last week were in the 60s. Just hitting the ball really, really well, tee to green. Putter was working last week. So he's probably your chalk. If I'm going to pivot off of him, I would look to Kokrak in a no-cut event. If he gets his tee to green game going, then he could be last week's CT Pan. And then last but not least for me here, Ches Reavie. I was on him last week, missed the cut, of course. So I'm going to go back this week because he was playing pretty well and his proximity numbers were pretty good before that. So I'll try him again this week.
2 guys I think are really, really good plays. They're going to be extremely chalky, and they're coming in great form. You mentioned CT Pan and then Abraham Answer. I think they're both really, really solid form right now. It could be great plays. If you differentiate it elsewhere, I'm all good with it. But if this is where you're trying to be cute, that's going to be your chalk. And that's where, come join us in the Slack chat. We'll help you navigate the field that way.
Yeah.
But I think, like you mentioned, Kokrak, I think Charles Howell III, we talk long iron players, plays really, really well with his long irons. Could be interesting there as well. Kokrak's definitely a great call in a no-cut event. If he's on, he could be sneaky good. Chris Kirk keeps getting it done for us. Can he win? One of these days he's going to win for us. Maybe it's on the swing season on a smaller field, but he keeps playing well. Another T35. He's been having bad Sundays. It's been unbelievable. His final round, the stupid Monday finish. Final round, he's been having really bad rounds. But he could be interesting. I love Ches Reavie. I think that's a great play. We were all over him early in the year. He did miss the cut last week, but coming in really good form. Another guy that can fire away with his iron game. And then if you want to get gutsy, if on Wednesday night you see rain is interesting, bombs away Keith Mitchell gets my attention. at $6,500. Because if you're talking accuracy of Keith, certain rounds, yeah, he can do it. Other rounds, it is the most disgusting display of golf you'll ever watch. It's like going to Miami Uni and watching me swing. But if he can bombs away and wedge it in, like it's a web.com event, Keith Mitchell could be really interesting at $6,500. At worst, get you like a T25, but all the DraftKings points with the birdies and everything. So I think he's very, very interesting, barring what kind of event we're going to see. With that being said, we've gone through all of the field. Let's talk about some of we're going to mix it up a bit. Who are your busts for the week?
Bust? It's I'm going to go with Rose. I mean, 11-2. I mean, he obviously could win, but he's got to win to pay that off, so that's what I'll go with.
I'm going to go the easy way out, Tiger Woods. He's done. Okay, who's your punt or punts? Who's your two guys you like the most under 7K?
Reeve and then not to be chalky, Kokrak.
Yeah, like ideally I'd love to play CT Pan, but I think
Answer, like you said, Answer and CT Pan are the two highest owned down here by far.
Yeah, they might be the best plays too, but yeah, chalk wise. Outside of that, I like the Reeve call and Keith Mitchell. I think those are two I like. I stuck with Kevin Tway last week for the most part. He did me well. I like that Mitchell and Reeve section there. Let's go down to your core. When you're looking right now, give me a couple guys you look to be building around this week.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be, for me, Hideki and Finau. Might be some chalk there, but Billy Horschel as well.
Finau, Hatton for me for 2 for sure. And I'm trying to decide if I just want to say screw it and to throw JT in that mix as well, or get someone down like a Stanley. So JT and Stanley, Hatton, Finau, those are some guys I'm really looking at there to build around. I love that Finau call for sure, and building around that kind of situation. All right, who do you have winning this thing?
Your winner, your 2018 BMW champion, is going to be Hideki Matsuyama up top. And if you want me to pick a little bit of a more of a flyer, I would say that Billy Horschel comes out of the bathroom and gets it done.
I like it. My one up top is Justin Thomas. I'm definitely going there. And if I'm going a little farther down, I'm going Kyle Stanley. I absolutely love what he's got going on this course. Maybe play him T20 and save some cash. I don't know. But I like Kyle Stanley to contend this week.
I can deal with that.
All right. We have one tournament to go after this, Jesse. I think we have the week off next week with no PGA action. I got NFL starting up this week. All kinds of fun stuff going on. Any final words for the listeners?
I don't. It is a good week to not play cash, in my opinion. And then also just scale back what you got in play. It's a no-cut event, so it's going to be a lot of ups and downs with this deal, and so it'll be fun to watch. And obviously, 2 more tournaments, and the FedEx Cup champions done, and then we've got the Ryder Cup, and then right back at it in the fall swing, man.
Yep. Just be smart this week. I mean, cash game's pretty much done till the fall swing. It's going to be great golf to watch, like you said. I can't wait for this fall swing, though, because I think that's where we have a lot of fun with some of those golfers many don't know about. So I really enjoy that. But everybody enjoy the week. Enjoy NFL action this week, and don't get stupid there either just because it's the opening week. It's a long season, long season.
That right there, that's really good, because every year I go hard chasing overlay, and it's like the worst week ever because it's the hardest week to predict. So that's also a good little tidbit there.
Just enjoy it. Sports is fun. Don't go stupid and have to want to break stuff at the end of the night just because it's one day. There'll be other days to come. But check out Jesse on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. I am at BDNTrick. The show is at Always Press DFS, and we are at thesportsdgens.com. Join us in the Slack chat with any questions you have. We're always in and out of there. With any questions you have, it's free. Just ask for an invite from any of us, and we'll get you in there. Simple as that. And other than that, go give us a rating review, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks. But this was the BMW Championship Preview. Catch you guys next time.